Stay confident.
Be loud.
Yeah.
Kind of explain what you're talking about. Don't just read off the slides.
Yeah.
Address your audience. Look at them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of interact with them a little.
Anything else? Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in? You hate public speaking.
I feel like he did a lot of the bases.
You did. You nailed it. Thank you, Spencer, for doing that. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I can go first.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Oh, class, this is my pitch deck. It's about backpacks. I wasn't really sure what type of topic that I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to talk about something that I knew a lot of info about it, and something that I'm kind of passionate about. So I went with this. Something that is a big problem with backpacks, which I noticed a lot of people address, is just the lack of functionality, comfort, quality of life, and like ease of use. So for example, like water bottle pockets, they either don't have them, or they're too like shallow, or just not like deep enough to hold like any larger water bottles, like those Stanley mugs, or like just general water bottles that you would find in the store. Like you can't hold them. Now you gotta carry them in your hands. That sucks. And then like pockets, they suck. Can't put stuff in them. What's the point of carrying a backpack, right? So I just wanted to kind of take a look at that and just compile every single problem that I've noticed in that kind of category and just fix it, right? So yeah, just by like addressing any problems that are there, like all of these problems that I were able to find, I was just able to find on like an online forum, just on everybody talking about how they have problems with their backpacks, and it's so easy to fix, I feel like, if they just listened to their customer base. And by doing so, more sales, more loyalty. Wouldn't hurt, right? So here is my mind map. Lots of different types of issues. We got unwieldy, ugly, not versatile enough, and more so like annoying, miscellaneous types of qualities. So you can see stiff, painful, heavy, just not accessible, ugly, unsymmetrical, bad colors, annoying, certain quality of life features that just aren't there, flimsy, and then versatile. The biggest one, I'd say, just all the problems that people have with their own backpacks. And here's my lookbook, a mood board, just kind of stuff you'd find in a backpack, I guess, and like different types of things and like uses for different cases, like school, camping, hiking, going about in an urban environment or like a not so urban environment.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you would want to use a backpack for. And that is my presentation.
Cool. So how do you think new media could solve the problem of the backpack?
Definitely visualization, like Ben's field of specialty. Visualizing like what type of backpack would be good for what type of situation you're going in for, and just experimenting, I think. And then with all this new technology, especially VR, we can interact with it before we get it out into our own hands. And I think that's pretty valuable in kind of visualizing what you want your final product to look like.
Yeah, I see some heads nodding.
That's good.
Open it up for questions and then.
Yeah, any questions? No? Yeah.
I have more of a comment.
Yeah.
I'm a tote bag person myself because of a lot of these issues,
Mhm.
and so I agree with the problem that it needs to be fixed, especially with like just like aesthetically, like backpacks just kind of like they don't really give much, you know.
Mhm.
Not that a tote bag does much better, but I feel like there's more versatility with tote bags, less
Yeah.
pockets, but
Definitely.
kind of nicer to look at.
And another concept that I've heard this like just online through like a forum or something. Japanese people like to refer to this concept as like a bag in a bag. So like a little pouch, for example, that you toss all your little things into, and then you put it into your tote bag, so that way it doesn't like rattle around. And I think that is a fantastic idea. I'd love to like integrate that into like my own type of backpack. I carry too much stuff, but like
Yeah.
I feel like I have a use for all of it. It's whatever, but yeah, I love that concept, and I definitely want to explore more of that.
Cool.
Any other questions?
All right, great job. Yeah, you're right. My only suggestion would be for this initial presentation is to include a couple slides with what you so eloquently verbalized. Yeah,
I got it all up here.
I know you do, but you did a great job.
Thanks.
Okay, who's next?
I can go.
Okay, great.
Should I have it on, I think I emailed it to you. Should I do that?
Okay.
Or,
Well, you can, oh, because it's just not,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
sent it.
shared?
But I sent a link, so.
Okay. Go ahead and sign in to your Google and just, yeah. It'll just override, just change accounts, yeah. Also, Spencer, another thing you could think about is examples, like visual examples of different
yeah.
backpacks.
Yeah, yeah, I'd like to be able to show some bad examples and some good examples. I think that would be really, really nice.
I think with the new ChatGPT too and Midjourney, you could also ask AI to help pre-visualize.
Yeah, that would be.
All right. Everybody see that correctly? So, the problem that I've identified is if everyone could raise their hand, how many of you have been to Disneyland, Universal, or even Dave & Buster's in the past 5 years? Okay, all of us, pretty much. Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with roller coasters and all of the experiences theme parks provide us, but the problem that I identified is it has been, roller coasters came out around 1890 in Paris, France. And how many innovations in that field have we seen since then? We have roller coasters that are made out of steel, we have roller coasters that are made out of wood, we have roller coasters that go backwards, forward, you hang from, yada, yada, yada. But we don't have a combined experience with VR and roller coasters. And I think it's time for roller coasters, in order to evolve and keep up with the times, to change, i.e. augmented reality roller coasters. So, what would an approach to this be like? Well, has anyone been to Dave & Buster's? And I'm sure you're all aware you're able to play a VR game that allows you to basically be on a track with a HTC Vive controller, and you're able to look around you. Now, I think there are way more opportunities to be explored in this medium, such as a horror-based experience where players are taken through a house that is a scene of a murder or a haunting. So this could look like a lot of things. This could be a ride, such as at Universal with the Harry Potter ride, where you're taken on a set track through an environment, and instead of a screen being in front of you, you're given a headset that you wear, and you're exposed to 4D elements such as sense, motion, things of that nature. Now, potential problems, of course, would be the motion sickness, maintaining perspectives, and to track or not to track being, would participants be on a set track, or would they just be given a headset and just be given an environment to explore? Either way, I think it could be the next step in creating experiences, because if you've been to a Six Flags or Disney theme park, I think they really need to get into the industry of thinking about where to go next. Now, for action enthusiasts, another possible experience would be a Fast and the Furious, I called it Gearshift Gauntlet. This is also taken from inspiration of a Mario Kart game that is at Dave & Buster's. I am pretty obsessed with this Mario Kart game, and I thought, how can I make it better? So, thinking with what brands are associated with Universal, there's the Fast and Furious franchise, which has become saturated as of late, and I think a new way to breathe life into this franchise would be a VR experience or game. So, a racing simulator that can connect up to 4 players at a time. They can either play time trials or classic racing modes. And I think I kind of nailed the branding with the AI-generated images you see in front of you, sort of going for a futuristic city racing type vibe. Now, problems and logistics. There are currently racing simulators by the name of Assetto Corsair, and that is essentially that will allow you to place a VR headset on you and put you in the driver's seat of an actual car, and you can move all of your individual fingers as well. So that could be a possibility, but the majority of the problems would be in relation to logistics, like setting up however many monitors, however many people can play at the same time. And that is my presentation and my sources used for Adobe Firefly and Julius AIs.
Open it up. Oh, wait, open it up for get some response from the. You did a great job.
Questions?
Yeah.
Do you consider, I don't know if you've been on the Fast and Furious ride.
Yeah.
Do you know what
so
I'm talking about? Have you been on that?
That's partly why I think the VR experience would be way better than just.
Yeah, because I was going to mention, there's the Star Wars one that's similar to that and the Fast and Furious one, because I went on both of them, and it was fun. And I think it's, kind of like that, but would you consider that technically AR, or would it more be 4D? Because there's also the Spider-Man one, when you put on the goggles, and then you have the 4D thing.
Yeah, so that's kind of where the inspiration comes from. For anyone not aware, the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disney is essentially just a giant warehouse with screens, and they use lighting effects to make you think you're going through space and all of that. And I thought, so how can we make this more realistic or more of an experience? And instead of just putting a roller coaster track in a giant warehouse and using projection and lights, why don't we just have them essentially in an environment like the Fast and Furious ride, but instead of just getting walked through a series of screens and presentations, they're actually in the driver's seat, quote unquote. So yeah, I think something like that would not only bring a lot more customers and all of that, but also be more enticing for people to actually be oh, I haven't been to Disney World in a long time, and they have this brand new technology. So.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a combination of a roller coaster and a navigatable.
Yeah, yeah. So that's like another thing. There's a lot of video games out right now that have VR capabilities, and like all of the YouTube videos, I guess. Like, has anyone heard of Phasmophobia? So like something like that in relation to the haunted house type game. But yeah, I just played the Mario Kart game at Dave & Buster's, and I was like, this is amazing, but I bet it could be like brought up 10 levels if it was in VR and like there was more of an environment around you. Because currently it's just you sit in a racing simulator chair at an arcade and then you play Mario Kart, which is fun, but you know, where can we improve? Yeah, Spencer.
How would you find your VR experiences to be different from, like, say, something like go-karts or like a haunted house attraction?
Yeah, so there are currently, I looked into it, and there, like, you know, there's Craig's Cruisers with the go-karts and everything, but I think go-karts are also technically more logistically complicated because you have to have, like, go-karts are obviously very expensive and intricate machines, even though it's just a machine with 4 wheels or an engine on 4 wheels, but it's still, you have to maintain them, you have to fix them when they break down. There's more cause for liability if somebody like flies out of the go-kart and stuff like that. So I think like with like this racing simulator, have you been to like the Air Zoo in Kalamazoo?
No.
Have you done the flight simulator?
I have,
that they
that's
have?
crazy.
Yeah, so they have a flight simulator, and that got me thinking of like, oh, imagine just being in a racing car, essentially like dragging a bank vault behind you or something like that. And that like simulator is meant for like to train actual pilots, but like if you broaden it to like a consumer accessible product, then I think more people would be interested in that.
Cool. All right, thank you so much. Yeah. All right, we have a racing, navigatable race and a backpack on the table. Who else wants to throw out there? Yeah, go ahead.
Follow that.
Oh, go maybe to the prior week, I think, because we missed last week because of the crazy weather.
Yeah, I thought I had mine posted here. I just checked on my computer. Not sure.
Or maybe the recently, right above that, up above it. The card right above it. Or is that something I added y'all to? I can't have my glasses on.
You want this?
Oh, I put that on for you to watch, yeah, okay. So, the week,
I'm not seeing it over here.
probably week 1, because week 2 was kind of a MIA week.
Oh yeah, I accidentally put it in week 1.
Yeah, no, that's when we were in class. Should be down,
There we
yeah.
go. Let's see, scroll.
So go ahead and, yeah, cool.
All right, so my topic is in a similar vein, which is kind of convenient. So my problem statement is more about VR as a genre in gaming. And I like what you're talking about with like AR and VR theme park-esque experiences, and I think in an actual theme park setting, those are really interesting and cool, and there's a lot of limitations we haven't reached yet there. But as someone who plays, like really enjoys VR games, like as a commercial, like personal thing, I notice a trend with a lot of it, which is that like it's extremely behind real video games in terms of design, not in terms of technology. So, like if you play a lot of VR games, has anyone play a lot of VR in here? Okay, yeah. You notice that like most VR games are some sort of linear track, like theme park experience that basically simulates like, hey, here's the thing, go do the thing. Wasn't that neat? You know, and it just kind of lives on the novelty.
Yeah.
I feel like as a genre, it's more than that, and especially as we're moving towards people being a more commercially viable thing for the average person, into the future at least, you know, we should be focusing on where we can go with unique capabilities of VR in gaming. So yeah, that's that whole problem we just talked about. I just forgot to move the slide. So in standard video games, there's been a trend, I've argued, it's arguably always been this way, but it's been more apparent lately, that more open-ended, more reactive game design is starting to get appreciated more. How many people in here have played Baldur's Gate 3? It's refreshing that it's only 2. I personally am not even really that into Baldur's Gate 3, but I can appreciate how extremely well designed of a game that it is. In that, like, every little thing that you do has all of these different tracking things, and it is pretty much its own world that just moves along with what you're doing. And that kind of game design is showing to be what people want in the market. Like, I mean, Baldur's Gate won Game of the Year, and it's in a genre that is generally considered a dead genre. I mean, like, usually people who watch the Game Awards are like, turn-based RPGs don't exist. So that tells me that just the power of that design, not that it isn't good as a game, but like games like, I mean, Elden Ring was the same thing, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, those 2 games. Like, people want games that are open and let them figure things out and have consequences for what they do. And you can do a lot of that with a controller, but there's a lot more nuance to what you could do with that in 3-dimensional space. Like, you could have precision and move into that area. So, I mean, I have a vague concept of what kind of, I don't know, like, experimental game this would be. Basically, you'd have a game where you get a bunch of voice actors and a bunch of talent behind, and a script and everything, and well, a script's plural really, because it would be a branching thing, where someone is basically responsible for organizing or taking charge of some grander scale, some, like, I don't know, laboratory premise or control center for some, like, sci-fi society. And what you do and the very, like, precise nuances of how you do it can determine whether or not you fail or succeed, or whether or not specific characters, you know, how they feel about you. Did you do this slowly? Did you do this clumsily? Like, do they respect you or not? And then that has real consequences. So yeah, that's the vague concept. This is my very simple mind map, because I couldn't think of a very good way to make a mind map about this. It's also cropped off, but enjoy it. So basically, left side is just kind of the thought process that I had, and then the right side is how are we actually getting into this. Yeah, full body movement would be a big focus, and like trying to detect the speed and the consistency of motion would be really important. So this is the mood board I made. A couple of the images are Adobe Firefly there. And then there's other issues, obviously. I mean, this is an issue we're not going to get past probably for a while, which is nausea. I know a lot of people who are just like, I don't even want to touch VR, because every time I do, I have to like lay down for a day and a half.
Yeah.
So for this reason, to at least mitigate that, you want to limit space requirements. This is why the idea of like a single setting sort of thing would be important. So yeah, that's the overall concept. Any questions?
Do you watch anime? Are you familiar with a lot of animes?
I have not watched a lot of anime in a long time, but I have a lot of vicarious knowledge of anime because I date a weeb.
So basically Sword Art Online?
Not quite Sword Art Online, no. More realizable. I do know what you mean, but no, I'm trying to propose something that is theoretically very possible. For some reason we are not doing yet with the technology that we have. Like, we're just not applying modern game design to VR games because we don't think people care. And I think people are going to care more as it becomes more accessible, and you need to be prepared for that in coming wave.
So have you been researching AI agents in games?
I've looked into this a little. As someone who wants to be a writer, I'll admit, this is one of the few AI things that does scare me. Is like AIs that are made to like write and replace character writing. I'll admit that it is something you would definitely have to at least use as a blueprint, or at least it would help a lot to expedite game design on something like this. I haven't done deep research on it though.
Well, you could have scripted elements interact with the AI agents. Yeah.
So would this be more like Skyrim VR then?
No, because that's the other thing, is like just taking a game and making it VR. It's interesting, it's novel. I've played a lot of Skyrim VR. But this would be something where like this experience is designed around the fact that it's a VR experience. I mean, Skyrim is almost a perfect example of how not to do that. I love Skyrim VR, but it's a joke of a port. Like you can literally just wiggle a sword at somebody and they'll die, because every time you connect a sword to a person, it registers that they took damage. And so you can just do this and anything will die. I'm kind of focusing on the opposite and trying to use that as a strength rather than a weakness, where it tries to detect, like if you were wiggling a thing at something, like it's going to fiddle with the thing that you're trying to use. So that's why I wanted this mechanical setting where you're like in charge of some large facility or society, so that when you fiddle with something, there's serious consequences, and like characters come talk to you and are like, hey, what was that? You know, so.
Thanks, Greg. Great. So 2 immersive VR experiences, and I want you guys what we're doing here is we're like getting what's in our minds out so we can see how the potential for collaboration can happen. And I can talk a little bit more, if there's this big interest in game design, we can talk a little bit more about that. And I do have a project from a few years ago, actually. One of the alumni from that project actually got hired at DreamWorks right away out of it. They did a spooky rat lab. Like when you said laboratory, I thought I got to show you that. And you know, that was like 4 years ago already. So our ability to generate more from some of you weren't in the class last semester, but there's a lot of assets now out in Unity and probably in other game engines that'll help expedite the visualization process. And then it's just a matter of getting some of your artwork in there, right? And the story, right? Okay, so who else would like to go? Yeah.
Mine is less of like a product and more of kind of a concept.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that's okay.
It's fine, yeah, there's no right and wrong here, it's just getting some ideas out.
Alright. First of all, disclaimer, did not make these slides. I got them from a website. That's why they're so cute. My name is Avery, and I am
There you go.
kind of more interested in like the ways that we can, as like individuals and humans, like work with AI in an effective way that keeps the creativity of like the human mind with the efficiency of like AI technology. Just because something that I want to go into is editing and like story making and writing. That's something that AI is starting to get pretty good at, and that a lot of people are starting to utilize. So yeah, pretty much just want to find a way that like filmmakers can use AI as like a partner instead of a tool. So some solutions that I have, they're pretty straightforward and not super interesting, but one of them is have filmmakers maybe do some workshops where they become familiar with AI, and in that way do kind of their own research of how it works for their project, like for whatever they want to work on, like whatever project they're doing. And then that also just kind of helps everybody like have a familiarity with AI in a sense that you can partner up with it instead of just strictly using it. And then a second way is kind of for people who don't have those resources that like bigger filmmakers would, is just like creating more affordable versions of AI that are actually like helpful and aren't like, oh, you get 15 free tries every day, you know, like something that people can actually utilize. And I understand that takes money away from some people, but I feel like it'll like work out in the end to a point that like is like makes up for the money lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much that. So how could we do this? Like what I already said, like workshops, creating more affordable, accessible AI websites, lots of research, lots of word of mouth, people who have larger platforms in the film world, just kind of bringing more familiarity with AI for those who are scared of it and think that it is something that could potentially take their job away, and also just acceptance of the new technology in that sense. And like I said, using it as a partner and less of a tool that just strictly works for us, because I also think that's like, I don't know, I personally don't agree with like if someone were to completely take out a crew of editors and like script writers, like I don't agree that that would be like something that should become like a popular way of making films like later years, especially with how smart AI is getting. I think it would be good to just like make sure we do have that connection with it, so we don't fully lose like the human touch. This is my mood board. I didn't really know how to make a mood board for a concept, so I've just got some like maybe like a little workshop, you know, VR, like we talked about earlier, and just some programs that ChatGPT is free, but Adobe for sure is very expensive, so something like an alternative to Adobe would be nice that just works with AI tools. Obviously that's kind of a stretch. And then my mind map, I decided to go in like a direction of some positives and negatives with humans and AI, just to kind of compare them a bit, and like their strengths and what they could work on or what they need the other for, if that makes sense. So like humans, obviously there's real emotions and experiences, it's more authentic and creative, but less efficient, more money. And then AI, more efficient, less money, and then some of it's a little unoriginal. Obviously, like I said, it's getting smarter, but just like I feel like having the combination of the two could make something like really great. And then artificial emotions and experiences, like no matter how smart it gets, it's not going to be a human. So, and then just new technology. We have so many like new AI tools right now, but think of maybe in like 25 years, think of like what the new ChatGPT is going to be like. Just like, I don't know. It's going to be something that everybody has to like keep up with, and nobody's going to be able to get like super like good with it, if that makes sense. I don't know. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks guys. Any questions?
How would you respond to those like who would criticize AI for like using other people's work or art or ideas?
That's why I said like with it being like making or doing research based on like your own project and your own morals, I feel like if you do want to stray against that, then just maybe don't use the AI tools that are associated with that, like the stealing of others' art. Like, I don't know, most of it is kind of like that, because that's unfortunately kind of how it learns. But yeah, I feel like it doesn't need to be universal that everybody does like partners with AI, because I also don't want to see it as like every movie's using AI too. I would like some to not, you know, but for the ones that are like blockbusters who want to use like the new technology to maybe not take 5 years to make a movie. Like maybe, I don't know, that could help those kind of people in that field, if that makes sense.
Love that you're thinking about this idea.
It just scares me.
Well, I think confront the monster head on, right?
Yeah, well, that's what, because I was trying to think of like some way that, or like a product that, or like, I don't know, but I just thought I might as well just do the concept. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're definitely headed in the right direction because I think like, and we can probably all agree to this, like when we don't know something, that's what makes us fear it the most. And like when someone hears about something and then hears about it from someone who doesn't know about it, then it's like, oh, that was my brother, so like, you know, I'm gonna take his word for it. So yeah, I think like building a better understanding of like a lot of things, especially with like where education is now, is really important.
Yeah, like more classes like this even, because honestly, I took New Media 1 last semester,
Mm-hmm.
and when we, like the first week talked about AI, I was very against it. But
Mhm.
now I feel like I'm kind of allowing myself to see that maybe there could be possibilities that AI and humans still work together, and the way that it doesn't take away too many jobs. I understand like a problem of this would be that jobs are still probably going to be taken away. Like we aren't going to need as many people on sets, but just like making sure it doesn't completely wipe out kind of humans in the film world. So
You talked a lot about ethical use of
Mhm.
AI, and how it currently at least basically steals work in order to develop
Mhm.
itself. What's a general schema of how you view that being solved or at least alleviated?
I feel like that's more with like programs. Like if there's a way that we could make programs that stray away from that, and like maybe a company makes the things that it like is based off of like themselves, so it's not taking from like the general internet, you know, like possibly that's something that's like I feel like a complete other problem that I have no idea how to fix. But in like the perfect world, that we would be able to, you know, kind of work around that, but still keep the same efficiency and like usefulness. Because that's also something that first week, when we were learning about it, I was super strong on because the strike was happening, and so I was like, I don't even want to learn anything about this, you know, because I don't agree with like what is going on, like ethically. But that's something that obviously I hope maybe gets a little better in the next couple of years. That's just, I feel like, so out of our hands, you know, like unfortunately, unless we all were to somehow like make a change, I guess. I don't know. Sorry if that was a bad answer. Yeah.
I think like an AI like program that like one has like a lot of transparency and two benefits from only your work would be like a good solution to that problem. Like so for like vocal AI or like art AI, submitting works of your own and also voice recordings of your own or hired talent could really help in eliminating any like plagiarism or any of that type of stuff. But that's just an idea.
No, yeah, that's what I was kind of trying to say, is like maybe if there was like a whole company that like they had like different areas in the company for like art and audio and stuff, that they just were constantly making their own things to pump into their own AI like program. I think that would be a really good way to solve it, but also I'm not super technical, so I don't know if that's like even possible. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Avery. All right. Who's up?
Alright, mine kind of has to do with AI too. I feel like we're doing 2 of each.
Well, that's actually cool, good, because this is the opportunity to pair up to see who would be a good partner.
the general population, I feel like, well, like, and like film, because like Avery's kind of focus was more on like the film industry, but I'm thinking more of like just people that like sit and watch the morning news and they're hearing about the strike on the outside and they're hearing about like ChatGPT. They're kind of afraid of what AI is like doing, and I feel like they need an immersive way to like put it into perspective and learn that it's like an addition and not a threat. And so I figured the way we could do that is to create like a digital timeline. I said accessible via VR, but to, I feel like, reach a broader audience, it would be like a website or something, because if you know how to use VR, you're probably not scared of AI or as scared. But you would go back and look at the history of new inventions and the public sphere, because they were scared of they're scared of like electricity, they're scared of moving cars and planes, and then you like look at how they like have overcome that and how all of that new technology has like helped them and how we like need it to survive now instead of being so scared of it that we like shut it down completely. This is my mind map, except I'm hoping you'll be able to see it better on here. So the middle is just kind of like the new technologies of history. And you have like indoor electric. People were scared that electricity inside walls would cause fires, and like electric fires still exist, but you use electricity in every house and every building now, and it's not really a thing to be afraid of. And airplanes, people were fearful of flying because it was expensive, and like flying itself was like really rough, and it's still kind of expensive and not very available to everyone, but everyone uses planes to travel to really far places and across oceans. And then cars, people were worried that it would take jobs away from carriage companies, but cars kind of made carriage companies obsolete anyways, and we use cars every day. And then I'm thinking like computers and Y2K, people were terrified that like the coding system, well, all of the ones and zeros would cause banks to malfunction and everyone's money would disappear, but that didn't happen, and we still use computers to this day. And then like AI, just like the writer's strike and how people are afraid that it's going to take jobs in ChatGPT, and people are afraid that it's taking advantage of preset systems like the education system. And then
Emma, I'm just gonna hold this for a second. Cody, since you're closest to the door, can you go downstairs and let Jovan in? He just emailed me that he's having a hard time. Prop this door open as well. It will lock. So make sure there's the one that when you got the front, the front, yeah.
okay. And then I was talking to my roommates. I was like, what do you think of when you think of AI? And they said priceless pancakes, if any of you have seen that TikTok. It's just AI, like images are very popular on TikTok right now, and I think it's like more like for our generation is becoming aware of like how rapidly it's expanding. But then there's like goods that it has the ability to add to everyday life, and it has already been helping make advances without taking jobs away. And then this is my mood board, kind of just like going through time of how we started with like light bulbs and then like film and TV and planes, and now we're to streaming services and computers and AI. Any questions? Yes.
Can I explain the priceless pancake one?
Yeah.
So, I actually have it pulled up here, but
I'd love to know. Really.
Yeah.
so, do I just plug it into the?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
It's a reaction video, but because I can't find the original, but. It's just somebody asked ChatGPT to make a priceless pancake, but there's like a. How should I know what this is?
Full screen.
Okay, so it basically says,
I think it's also muted on the TikTok.
A $1 pancake. Okay. No, like a pancake worth $1. Okay. Make a $10 pancake. Okay, it's a $10 pancake. Those look kind of fluffy. $100 pancake. Damn, has caviar? A $1,000 pancake. Oh my god. Wait, this one looks insane. $1 million pancake. Yo. Now a $1 billion pancake, more exaggerated. Oh my god, he's in space eating pancakes. Last one, what about a priceless pancake?
Oh.
so that's where like the term comes from, and there's a whole, no mean to hijack
No,
your
you're good.
presentation, but it's just funny to me because I'm like, oh, this is cheesy and easily explainable. It's just because when something is described as priceless, what do you think of? Like, oh, you know, home, being with your family, like those are like priceless experiences. So literally it's just being like probably searching up some database of like what's considered priceless, and so obviously it's gonna extract images of like family and stuff like that. So, and then the comments on the TikTok were like, this is the only AI art to make me cry, and I'm just like, okay. So,
Earlier you mentioned as one of your examples, carriages to cars, right? And how, like, the automotive industry really replaced the carriage industry,
Yeah.
essentially, in the long and short of it. Do you perceive something similar happening with AI then? Is that the implication?
I don't know. I was just thinking about that too when I was reading off of it. But I don't think AI has all of the technology right now, because I feel like when cars replaced carriages, it happened like in the span of like 10 or 20 years, and I don't think it's going to happen quite that fast with AI. But I think right now we just need to learn how to use it. Hopefully, like, society has enough knowledge to like know how to use it without replacing everything, because job replacement I think is a bigger issue with like AI than it was with like cars and stuff. And so like hopefully now we have like more knowledge to like work around that. We have like more people working on it than with cars. I feel like when there's only like two industries, it was like one would monopolize over the other. Kind of, I guess.
In what ways do you think that like AI could help the general public in a way that like they are less afraid of it and like maybe more excited, like, and throughout everyday life? Like, is there any ideas you have?
I think like even like on like websites, like on Google or like on Facebook, it would be like, hey, like, you're searching up this thing, do you want to search up this thing instead? I think that already exists, but like just to make like people more aware of like, hey, that is AI that you're using all the time and you're not scared of that, so why are you scared of like the big stuff that like doesn't really affect anyone?
I was just gonna add on to that. Speaking of TikTok again, I saw a TikTok of an ad of Microsoft Excel in 1991 when it like was first released, and it was of this guy in an elevator at a computer, and his like partner was like, oh, you're never gonna file the finance reports of Q1, Q2, and Q3 in time, and all he did was create a table in Excel, and then Excel finishes tables if you say, oh, create a table with a 50% growth. So like that too could be considered, oh well, it's AI because it's generating something. So I think certain things have been around for a long time, just people have never really thought of like, oh, this is a computer doing this.
So with the experience that you wanted to create, were you thinking that was going to be more of like a day in the life kind of thing where you feel like you're a person in each of these times and you're having like a dialogue with someone else about like the technology coming out, or more of like just like a visualized timeline where, you know, like how did you envision, like how did you see that?
I envisioned it like a person like walking through like kind of emptiness, but it would make more sense to like have them like go through that specific timeline and like talk and interact with like the like technology and interact with the people that are like creating the technology and the people that are like fearful of the technology kind of. Any more questions?
You've given us so much to think about. Thank you. Go ahead.
Mine is just kind of similar to Emma's, so
Oh.
like the end.
Okay, so we've got a lineup of AI interest there. So, 7, if you go out, make sure that the door doesn't close behind
It's
you.
open.
Awesome. Yeah, if anyone needs to use the restroom, it is out the door to your left. But we're gonna just keep going
Yeah,
for the
that's
sake of time.
Alright, so I did my pitch deck on AI and just kind of like what we talked about in New Media 1 if you were in that class in the beginning, just like how a lot of people are afraid of AI, and I myself included, Emily a little bit, like I feel like I used to be more afraid than I am now, but we're just like the general population is like afraid, and so I think we should just try to make something and like show people that it's like not as scary as it seems, because as long as we are the people who are guiding it and helping it, then it doesn't seem quite as scary, I think. So I don't have like necessarily an exact solution, but just like being more open to talking about it with other people, because I feel like mostly in the news and stuff we talk about AI, it's always like something that seems scary or that we don't know much about, but honestly I feel like we know enough for people to not be quite so afraid. So kind of going off of what Emma was saying, like it is already in our life, like something that I thought of right away is like Siri or Amazon Alexa, like it's the same thing as typing into ChatGPT, but you're just saying it out loud to your phone or like the computer basically. And then also with like guided ads, those also use AI and like social media algorithms, because you see something you like, and so then it goes into the algorithm and then puts out something that they think you would like as well. And so then this is my mind map. I can try to zoom in if I just. So just like people who are new to AI, they're afraid to use it. Kind of like they believe that AI will begin to guide us, and they're uncomfortable with new technology and confused about it and how it works. But if you start to use it, then you'll know more about technology than others. Like I feel like my mom is always like, "Oh, you just know so much, like more than I do." But I feel like it's just because she doesn't like use this kind of stuff as much as I do, because it's like what I do my homework on all the time. I do my homework on my laptop all the time, so I know how to use a laptop better. But with her, it's just like when she has to do something on a laptop, like I don't know. And so then you know more about technology and you're more comfortable with it, and you help AI become something that we guide as well. Yeah. And then my lookbook was just different ways that we already use AI, and like the pen and pencil is just like how we can help guide it and like write it along, and how it's like a tool. So thank you for listening. Any questions?
Thanks.
Avery, is there any like new ways you can see AI like going into everyday life other than like what we already have?
I mean, some of the stuff that we already have, I could have never like thought of. Like, I feel like when I was younger, I never would have thought that like Siri would be a thing, like a phone would talk back to you. So I don't know that I can think of anything right now, but maybe just like expanding on more of the things that we already have. Yeah.
Why do you think people are so afraid of AI right now?
I think because the artificial intelligence just kind of sounds scary when you think about it. The fact that it says like an intelligence, it's like only humans have the intelligence and not just like computers. And I feel like computers are still kind of a new enough thing too. where I feel like more in the last even like 10 years, like it's become an everyday thing, when before it was like only some people had a computer at home. Like I remember in elementary school, it was like some kids didn't even have computers at home, so it was like if we had a snow day, then you necessarily like couldn't do schoolwork at home. But now it's like almost every family does, I feel like, or you can do it on your phone because your parents will have a phone. So did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really good point, and it really brings up the nature of all of our experiences are very different.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Oh, you got some, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you know what Skynet is? Do you think that if the world one day implemented AI into like a military like based function, do you think we'd all die? Like the AI would take over and then launch nukes all over the country in like a split second and then obliterate us all?
I don't know, not necessarily a split second. I feel like right now AI needs to be guided enough. The fact that like someone would have to press that button or whatever, or tell the AI to do that. So I don't think it would happen right now. I mean, it depends on how AI will look in the future, though. I think
That was mostly a joke, but
that's
like
okay.
the point is, do you think that AI will gain sentience, and if so, do you think it will consider us a threat?
I'm gonna be honest, I hope not, but I don't really know. I mean, I think it's like going back to what I said last question, it kind of just depends on how the user's guided and how it looks in the future. But I try not to think about that sometimes because then I freak out a little. Yeah.
This is more in response, to be honest with you.
Well, that's okay, go ahead.
But I think AI, from what I understand about it, AI as we've constructed it currently isn't really capable of that, because like all the AIs that we're really worried about right now are just algorithms that are capable of extracting and replicating what they find. And so there's nothing it can really find that would influence it to do that. It doesn't have a motive. There's no real motive behind any AI currently. Like when we get to a level where there is some kind of real like inner sapiens, you know, then that's a conversation. But I don't think it's a modern conversation. I do laugh a little bit when I hear this question.
Have you heard of the AI model that replicated behaviors of internet users and then became really racist?
See, that's because it's literally copying these people online. And yeah, that's
So-
pretty terrible people
so
online.
If this AI user replicates like finds malicious forums or reads about war articles, news articles like that, would it then possibly
But an
go
AI that was
way?
trying to learn to be efficient at war would understand the concept of mutually assured destruction.
Would it?
If it was efficient at it, yes.
If it decided to wipe out humans, right?
Then it has no ability to grow. At least when we're talking about currently existing AI models and the style of model that it will be for probably a significant number of decades at least. Like as we understand AI development currently.
But you said that like it could develop until that point, right? So as of right now, what are we doing to prevent that from happening?
Like AIs develop based on what they learn. Like current AIs don't develop into new functions. Like you can't get ChatGPT to make a picture. They literally had to link it to a different AI. You know, like that's what I'm saying. Like they're currently structures for purposes of replication essentially. And there's no logical replication that I could see causing an AI to destroy the world.
Okay.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, just to add on to your point about growth, I looked it up on my computer, and it took us humans 2,000 years to go from working with bronze to steel, and only a decade to go from traveling on horseback to car, and even less time to go from car to flying by plane. So like, we've had like an exponential growth of like technology. So like, I always get frustrated because I'm like, we landed on the moon 50 years ago, supposedly, but like we're not able to just have like a clear cell phone conversation. Like we haven't developed that technology enough, or like at least not monopolized it enough to like just have a conversation with someone where I can clearly hear their voice, or the call doesn't drop, or like the data on my phone isn't limited. So yeah, I think it also centers around what our interests are as humanity, and not as like, how can we grow the profits of Verizon and AT&T by this quarter or something like that.
Yeah, really, really important conversations. AGI is the term used for artificial general intelligence, is when AI, that is a threshold where AI then becomes self-generating. But you're right, we're not even close to that. It's definitely something that we need to be talking about. Great. Well, you've clearly sparked conversations. All right, who's next? Good.
Use this chair.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Here.
Now that was a good question from before. Why are people afraid of AI? Because there's always a fear when people involved with the internet that it's like whatever you're reading could possibly be false, a fraud. There's always going to be that fear. And AI kind of amplifies that in a way, especially in the form of misinformation. The problem is that people are afraid of the power AI has to spread misinformation that could potentially harm people in terms of reputation and or financing and trust people have in online sources. These all of these images are AI. A fake image of Trump being arrested that got a lot of circulation on Twitter. An AI scam recently of Tom Hanks and AI promoting a dental plan, and this one of supposedly a Batgirl cosplay from San Diego Comic-Con, which is very convincing until you see the fact that the Twin Towers are in the background. So how do you solve problems like these? Well, there are two portions, human solutions and AI solutions. For humans, we could create laws and guidelines that could regulate usage of AI imagery. We could create awareness campaigns, collaborate with tech companies, and integrate AI evaluation skills into education. Because most people, when they at first you can't really tell with AI sometimes at first glance. The amount of old people on Facebook that fall for this crap is insane. But on closer inspection, you might see, oh, they have 7 fingers, or they have a third arm.
Yeah.
You just need to look at the finer details. Here is my mood board. And here is the very basic mind map. I'm not very good with these things. Thank you. Another part I wanted to get into, how do you create a new tab? Is what jump-started my whole thought about this is this video.
Have a cat? Stop scooting cat litter.
I'll just go
The
over a
litter
couple
robot, the
examples.
highest rated
It's
pet
very
food
easy to
in
fool
Australia.
people.
Painted this smiling face emoji, but no one appreciates it. Pensive face emoji. Lovely work. Well done. Susan, she has 3 hands. Susan's not alone though. On Facebook, there's been a recent surge in weird groups posting AI clickbait, usually of some bizarre cutesy animal scene. Amazing photo of the day. Very nice. Or some piece of frankly incredible handiwork. I made this huge cat out of snow. Hashtag photography. Oh my god, you got a wondrous talent. All for bots to befriend and then scam.
So it's very easy to fool people. That's the point I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I have a question. So when it comes to like misinformation, have you seen like some of these on Facebook or something? You see the interactions. Are they like real people?
Yes, they are. They are real
because
people.
I know like half of those social networks have bots and fake accounts.
Yeah.
So that's also a type of misinformation.
Yeah,
as well.
it's just most of these seem to parade towards more people who are just less familiar with these kind of internet rules, those sort of things.
this has nothing to do for class, but if you found that video enjoyable, you should look up Luigi board on
Oh,
YouTube.
yeah, love those ones.
Okay.
I've seen other ads like this on YouTube using a Joe Rogan AI voice, like saying you could earn up to $6,000 in.
I got one of those, but with Elon.
Yeah, it's insane.
There's YouTube ads that are like, this new trick is insane. The government doesn't want you to know this, and you can like tell someone using AI voice, but like to like your grandpa or grandma, they're gonna be like, oh, I can get $5,800 from the government.
It's insane.
I saw a TikTok that it was AI generated images of the Eiffel Tower on fire, and I was like, I got fooled by it because they specifically put it at night, and the flames on it looked like, I'm like, wait, is this real? Is this actually happening? And I had to go to the person's like profile. I'm like, oh, it's just a person posting AI generated art, but like it had 5.8 million likes, and I was like, huh, like.
They want to get all the internet points without putting any of the real effort in. Yeah.
This is kind of bouncing off of that, and this is also kind of an insane thing. But so literally like yesterday or the day before, I saw a post about, this is really embarrassing, guys. So there's this anime, it's called Jujutsu Kaisen. There's a guy on it, and his name is Gojo. And it was like McDonald's Gojo Happy Meal. And everybody was like, oh my god, like, I need to go get it, like, oh my god. And everybody was like fighting with each other because of, but I literally, like, it took me, I'm not kidding, like, this is embarrassing, 15 minutes, because I was like, I need to know if this is genuinely real, because I was like, there's no way, but all the comments were like, people, like, like, anime accounts, like, that make, like, edits and stuff, being like, I need to, like, where can I get this, what cities is this in? I went to the McDonald's app, like, it really got me. It's like, there's no way. And then I found out that it wasn't real, because there was a bunch of TikToks about it, but it was all the same guy. It just looked like it, like if you were to like just be scrolling, and you saw two from the same guy, you wouldn't register that. But after I saw he's the only one who's posting about it, I was like, okay, this is definitely not true.
Yeah. All right.
So it's kind of interesting. I just want to sort of extrapolate from here. You guys are really talking about general manipulation through AI, and then Jeff's comment about AI people being replicated and having their own Facebook accounts. So now it's not just what do people post, is it true, but is this even a real person posting an account? Jeff, are you aware of some that you know of that are AI generated people?
Ever since I've had the internet, there have been AI generated people trying to follow me or text me. They get my grandma a bunch. She'll get phone calls. It's like they're acting like me. It's like they need to come to the police station, give them $5,000.
Oh, so that's actually happening?
That's about a thing that's happening recently.
Yeah. It's a big thing right now.
AI will use your voice and like they'll replicate your voice to make a phone call to your relative saying, I'm stuck here, I just need $500. I've heard about that.
That's a new one.
But
That sounds
No,
horrible.
I heard about that a few months ago, but I didn't know if it was
It's
still happening.
it's kind of funny how it just makes like a full circle of like not everything you see on the internet is true, but like the people that taught us that, or at least me, were like my parents, of like, oh, Craigslist ad, here's $500 free.
Yeah.
But it's like this is just the new variation of it. So
There's like accounts that fully make money, and it's just like an AI. Like there's TikTok accounts that make, I don't know, it'll be like a history account, and it's fully AI generated videos. Like the person behind it doesn't even have to do anything except for like click a couple buttons, and then there's even some that will post for you like new content every day, and it's just like this person's making not a lot of money, but some income from literally doing nothing, and that's kind of crazy. So
yeah, I think that contributes to like the whole. I don't know if you guys have seen like the whole AI recreation of certain artists like Drake, the AI generated songs and all that. Like there was recently a really famous Latin artist, Bad Bunny. Someone took his voice and made a whole like verse with like a Justin Bieber song on it, and people were like, "Is this real? Is this real?" And like the TikTok account that posted it was like, it got so big to Bad Bunny acknowledged it, and the TikTok account was like, "Oh no, Bad Bunny, we can work together" or whatever. But it's like, how is it gonna be regulated where like artists are like compensated for like their work, but also at the same time, you know, people can just go to whatever voice AI and then just be like, give me a Drake song in the style of Travis Scott.
Yeah, it's crazy. People also like, I saw recently, I'm not gonna say the lyric or the song or whatever, but there's a rapper, her name's Ice Spice, and she just released a song, and it's very silly. It's supposed to be taken seriously, but everybody was like, this is AI. Like, this is not a real song, until she had to come out and like post about it so that people were like, oh, it's real. Like, that's crazy.
You know, with those generated songs, like, that's like absolutely like horrible to do, right? But then like some person comes out with a song that like has SpongeBob and like this like that's
Yeah, yeah, like-
and that
Those
then
like things saying diamonds. And
yeah, that in my
I can
opinion
excuse
completely
those 'cause
flips
they're more
around.
of, like
That's
proof
awesome.
of concept than anything. They're not like promoting themselves as like the real artists. They're more like concepts.
Yeah, that Bad Bunny and Justin Bieber song, it came from like a specific TikTok account, and he made like a producer tag in the song, like advertising his account. So like it's like, yeah, the lines become very blurred when people are just trying to make money off of it. But I mean, that's life. People try to make money off anything.
All right, so let's, thank you very much. Go ahead and move on.
Okay. Where's the Trello?
There.
I accidentally.
No, you're fine.
No,
You're
you're
good.
good.
You did great.
All right, I'm just gonna use honestly the mind map because I have like really intense ADHD. So, all right. So my question's kind of like more broad and it's kind of way out there, and it actually has to do with Grand Valley. So mine is like students. So I went into the freshman year classes for film and video. You ever been in there and they ask these really like simple things like, do you know how to do this? And like, for me, it was this actually came from a conversation with Alex that I was having, which was a really good talk. Is like I kind of knew how to do all this stuff in like high school when I was like doing YouTube videos and stuff. And basically, when I was making anything, I would go through like YouTube. Like I went on Instagram one time, and I don't know if you do like those film and video tricks, but I clicked on one of them, the algorithm just grabbed me by the throat. And ever since then, I've been seeing tricks every single day. So mine's based on like maybe it's a little too broad, but making like a huge video that goes through all this stuff. Like I've been on. This one I saw recently was like, this dude took like a model car and put himself in a model car in a video and like worked it all out using effects. And then he did like day for night shooting and stuff like that. And I kind of saw over here, like I have a green screen and kind of like basic tricks. It's just like, when I was coming into film video, I wanted to know like everything that I could do to like make stuff. Cause I'm like a huge Nickelodeon kid. If there's any Disney lovers in here, I'm not a Disney show kid. But I loved like Drake and Josh and all that. And back in like my house, I always wanted to like make stuff like that. Cause I feel like in filmmaking, you gotta make stuff to really kind of figure it out. So when I sat down and did things, I used to make a book of shots. Like I went on the internet and scoured like all these different camera shots. Like there's a Breaking Bad popular one where you put a camera in like a washing machine and stuff like that. I wrote down all that stuff, video, like explanations of it. So if I was ever making something, I was like, what the hell am I gonna put in this shot? And I'll go through that list and look at it. So I feel like if there's new freshmen coming on, that would be like something cool for them to have. It's kind of like meant to inspire, like to want to make something, you know what I mean? And then the one battle for this challenge with me is it's never really gonna work out with me for VR and AR because like every time I do anything like that, I get that headache like you were talking about. It's like a whole day. It kind of feels like a hangover to be completely honest. It really hurts. And anyways, I kind of like was gonna do this going through all these apps like iMovie. There's all kinds of tricks that I've just learned over time, and I feel like if you were a freshman, you came in, you saw like a really basic video or like an example of like all these cool, really sick things. I mean, like you could sit in your house and be like, here's how you shoot this, you light it this way, and then like you have your own thing. Because I love all kinds of sitcoms like that and stuff. And then with AI, I'm gonna give a hot take. I love AI. I have been waiting for something like that to happen because I had all these great ideas as a kid, but I never had like all these people, which is cool having people like this, creatives who think of things that even I wouldn't think of, to like be around and really dive in that. Because all I have is my friends, and they're creative in their own right, but they're not gonna know what I'm talking about because I mean, intensely dyslexic, kind of all over the place, but like the campaigner, like my personalities. But anyways, it's cool. Like with AI, I can go on. I spent $20 on the Pro Chat GPT, like the image thing that you do. So my bank account plummeted after I bought that. But like me and my friend were working on this sitcom up at my cabin, and I went into Chat GPT and I was like, hey, make me a cabin with like this and this in front of it, and it made this picture, and like I wouldn't necessarily take the picture, but I would go up there and like make a set based off that, because I love like practical sets, all the old types of filmmaking and stuff like that, and that gives me the idea, and then you can take it out there and do something like that. So this project for me is like not like a whole VR AR thing, but it's kind of more like just like coming in, like making people excited about like wanting to make stuff like that, you know what I mean? And it kind of encompasses all this stuff that you would have to scour the internet to find, and find random locations. I mean, I've Google searched hundreds of different things and found hundreds of different results, but like, and that's what I mean by it be a broad video, but like just really quick being like, this is a trick here, this is a trick there, this is how you can do it, and that's what I want to do. Because that would have been really helpful if I knew that on the way out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Follow-up questions for you.
Can you Google eye candy?
Eye candy.
So there's a website that's doing exactly what you described. Oh, with a like eyeball candy.
Oh, with an eye. So you're talking like eye candy?
Yeah.
Here, you know.
And that first one right there.
Oh, wait, did I just lose it?
Yeah, you lost it.
See, and I spelled it wrong.
Right there. Yeah, so this is a collection of inspiring things, and it gives you a tutorial for each, or almost all of them. And there's just like genres and craziness, and I think this could be inspiring.
Yeah.
Is this updated every day, or is it just like a static
It's
website?
updated a lot, but I don't know when.
So if you click on something, it's just gonna give you a tutorial?
Some of them will lead to tutorials, some of them won't. But it'll tell you the name of the effect, and then you can go look it up and find it elsewhere.
Okay, that's sweet. All right, any other questions?
All right, good, yep,
All right.
cool. If you'd like, yeah. Yeah, we can circle back around to the VR immersive.
I'm just gonna dramatically.
So many tabs.
You see the picture I sent you?
The first one?
Julie, is it okay if I go heat up something?
You heat up food.
It's so
We're
much
almost done, just wait, just wait. And I'm stick around a little bit, so you don't have to, you can eat.
Alright.
Oh,
So, I'm actually gonna pull my phone, cause I was writing notes as I was, as everyone was presenting, cause, I kind of been changing my mind the past like few days about what exactly I wanna do.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not gonna read any of this off, but my, problem solution is not really a problem solution, it's more of just like, more of a concept. I wanted to kind of give the AI a prompt to make like a very, very simple game, like maybe multiple different prompts to make multiple different games. And I wanted to create the game based off the response from the AI. And I kind of wanted to do that to test like how well it translates and stuff like that. But I was thinking maybe I can like, I don't know if there's a way you can just give the AI a prompt and the AI makes a game. I'm assuming there is, like, but it might cost money. But I was also thinking that it doesn't necessarily need to be a game. It could be a video, a picture, but it's a very broad concept, and I still need to narrow it down more. But yeah, that's the basic idea. This is the mood board that I created. I don't. Do you need this? I mean, that helps a little bit, but yeah. There's some like pictures of just random, more simple like games. Move back to that. And then I just like put some AI stuff here. I don't know, but yeah. And then this is my mind map that I created. I started with like, is AI a reliable tool for concept creation? That was the basic idea, kind of. And
I started off the idea with just a game, but I've been thinking of maybe doing other things. And like I said, like, does it create a unique idea? Probably not. Is it interactive? How well can it translate through the AI? Does adding more detail? That's another thing that I wanted to explore more. I kind of want to maybe go the route into like trying to break the AI. I think I want to try to go that route and just see how far I can go with it. I don't know. We'll see. That's my idea. So that's all I got.
I have a question. What is it about gaming that's most interesting to you?
That is a good question. Like with AI or just gaming in general?
Gaming in general, because that's part of the premise of your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I chose gaming. I just like what I enjoy most about gaming is like the story aspect, but it's hard. I think it's hard to create like a story aspect, especially with like my limited knowledge with gaming softwares and stuff like that. I wouldn't be able to create something like that. So it would have to be very simple if I was to use AI to do it. But yeah.
All right. Thanks, Cody. All right. You want to go? Cody, I have a question. Where does your photography fall into this?
I don't know.
That's something to think about.
Maybe can.
Yeah, should.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So my pitch is going in a little bit different direction. I want to tackle a problem of screens being two-dimensional, and we have this urge to want more. You know, we're on our phones all day. We look at a laptop, and you know, it could be a solution to wear goggles, but then you have all these other problems. And this sort of technology, like projection mapping, tracking, and force perspective, has already kind of been perfected in some ways. It's been more commercialized, and I just want to, you know, kind of dabble in it and try it out. So yeah, the solution would be projection mapping, and I have some examples here. The most famous one is the Van Gogh experience. I mean, amazing commercial success, taking this artwork that they didn't make themselves, it's in the public domain, take it everywhere across the country and charge hundreds of dollars. I mean, that's just great for them. But, yeah, and it can also be used for artwork, and it's heavily used with concert productions. And then including motion tracking, this is where you can get more immersive. So depending on where you're looking from, it can kind of track along with you, and maybe you can interact with it some ways. I've seen a lot of cool ads that use motion tracking to make it tailored to you when you're on the street. You know, something will look at you, or it'll track how fast you're walking past, and it'll display it. So just kind of experimenting with that. And I'd like to do this with like a live installation of some kind. I like to do some experiments and like go to the public library, or go to Grand Valley's library, or go to Kirkhoff and just, you know, have a little rat running on the floor or something. Just, you know, little things that alter social situations. Now this is a crazy video that cannot do, but in this video there are 3 robots. So these 2 robots have this, it's like a whiteboard, and then they have this camera on a robot to get the exact perspective. But they're projection mapping onto these boards here, and I think it does some really cool things with the perspective of the camera. So like here it's like a person is in it, and as you move, the animation moves So just kind of experimenting with that. And I think this could be easily replicated with like 2 TVs or a box or something with 2 projectors. But yeah, this is definitely my main comparison because I just think they do it so well. And this is something on Forced Perspective, which is more for like advertisements. And you can go out to Times Square, go to Tokyo, and you can see some billboards that look 3D, but only in one specific location. So that's the drawback with this. But if you're tracking eye movement, you can kind of tailor it to a person. Yeah, so I definitely want to enhance social settings and enhance like artwork that's already been made, and want to capture reactions. I think that'd be fun content to see. So kind of 2 parts in this project, kind of seeing what works and what doesn't with these like public environments, and then packaging something that's cohesive for something in the art gallery. So execution, hoping to work with a partner who's familiar with After Effects and Blender and create some visuals. So creating the assets, coding alongside with the Logitech webcam for tracking, and coding that into like Blender to move a camera or After Effects to move a camera. And then you just project from inside of After Effects. And I've seen people use Raspberry Pis, and they have like Xbox 360 like Connect camera, and it like tracks their movement. But I think there's like software now that you can use instead of that hardware. So just really experimenting and trying things out, I guess. But that's all. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
So like, in what ways would you want to see this like specifically in? Like, I know you said like with art, so like museums and stuff, or just in everyday life?
Everyday life, yeah, I think it could enhance rooms, and you could obviously use it for commercial purposes, but I think finding fun ways and like, not pranks, but like ways to like give people a laugh on their walk through the library or when they're getting coffee or something. But finding a way to make that like interactive would be the goal.
Have you heard of Eric Pride's Hollow?
Yep, yeah,
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna
also an
say,
inspiration for this.
The hand that comes out.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's an artist, and he's like a DJ, and he plays behind like a screen, and it's pretty much directly like this. And like he's playing the song, but he also has visuals that go along with them. I think it's, yeah. So he's playing in front of a screen.
It's like a transparent screen too, which is really cool.
I think it's funny too because you can see on the screen too, it uses the depth of field to make the fingers look like they're coming at you because it blurs the rest of the forearm and everything, which is like, it's really just like lights, effects, all that, and it looks like, an actual hand just reaching out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to replicate.
Yeah. Did you look at the Consumer Electronics Show that just happened? The transparent TVs were like one of the biggest things out
Yeah,
there.
I saw those.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty cool.
This is exciting, Jeff. This is a totally new idea I'm hearing. It's great. I think
Thanks.
so. Yeah. Any other questions,
Have you
comments?
seen like the drone fireworks shows?
Yeah.
I like that kind of reminds me of that because I think that would be cool because I've never seen one. I like fireworks, but I understand why the drone like the no noise and everything as a pet owner. But I think that's like really cool because I think that also like it applies to that because that could be the light shows and everything are pretty cool, and all the drones are like coordinated, so it's with AI and it's coordinated like that, so you could always coordinate something like that with drones and or perspective, something like that. That would be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, we don't have the budget for drones like that, but you know, that would be cool.
It reminds me of the Las Vegas Sphere too.
Yeah,
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 that's
that.
one-
Like
that's
there was
another one, yeah.
projection mapping on the sphere too. Like
Okay.
All right, yay.
Alright. Mine is, can AI change the world if in the wrong hands? Me personally, I feel like everybody has control of certain things, and it's always a certain power dynamic. People knew about AI before we knew about it, so things like that. Then I looked at the history of, the world and just how everything works. Like I was saying, it's always a power dynamic. Some people can abuse power and do things like that if it's in the wrong hands. That can be racially, not racially, anything. If you if it's somebody in a higher position, not with the right attitude or the right purpose of doing something, it can all go down. But I feel like as us being young people, I feel like we got control of most things. So I feel like if it's in our hands, we'll be all right. But if it's in somebody else's hands, you never know. I want to make a short film talking about the pros and cons of just AI and how we use it today. So like some people use it for class, some people use it for work, some people use it for, like me, I use it for my YouTube channel. Like AI can make titles for you, make thumbnails now. It can do multiple things. The mind map I had, you can barely see it, but it just says, will AI take over the world? I got the pros on one side, the cons on the other. And basically I said the pros, it can help with projects, help for school, help with content. I don't know why I said that right there, but cons, older people get tricked like we were just talking about. Like my grandma, she always talk like, she pick up the phone still, and I'm like, Grandma, you don't gotta pick up the phone. She down there like yell at the phone, like, Granny, it's just AI, it's just somebody trying to scam you. It's not that serious. Cause it even be like fake jobs, an emailer, but like with her being older, she thinking it's real, but it's a lot of fake stuff nowadays. Less jobs for people, like a lot of people scared of losing their jobs. But me personally, I feel like AI can't write like a movie script that's like has empathy, enough emotion, and like a human can connect to. That's just like the way I feel. I feel like only a human with like certain experiences can do things like that, because a lot of people are, because they are the way they are because of their experiences in life. So AI can't really, their experiences is not the same as the human experiences. We had to control. People making fake content, like that was mentioned earlier. A lot of people like, I like how somebody said about the AI songs. It's either like YouTubers, they got like a song, like people singing, like it sound like them, but it's them singing a different song. Like the Drake one. Polo G, I done heard a lot of, and some AI songs actually sound good. Like somebody really wrote it. I'm like, hey, I might be bumping this one. I might be bumping this, but yeah. Let me see what else I put. And yeah, that's really all I got right now. It's still a work in progress, but my main goal is, like I said, to really make a short film, really a comedy skit, maybe that, just to show people the pros and cons of everything in a comedy in a funny way.
All right.
Any questions? Are we good?
You got the deep end for AI, all right. Okay, Ben and 7. Does everybody mind just sticking around for a few more minutes so everybody can present?
Thanks.
And then, Spencer, you can have your dinner.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'll just go home.
It's kind of ironic how we were talking about like AI and like preserving like human uniqueness and everything, but like 70% of us use the same template from Canva for our presentation. Tells you a lot about us. Yeah, okay, so this is a project that's kind of more personal, near and dear to my heart and like the work that I do, so it's not necessarily like a whole team project, kind of a solo project, but it's definitely open for like a team environment. But I have done a lot of work recently with like proposed architecture around the city, and I've really wanted to get into like doing architecture pre-visualization in like a 360 environment, using headsets and using game engines, instead of just doing what they do now for like pre-vising things. So the problems are that there are a ton of like really powerful software out there like Unreal Engine and Blender that are like sorely underused in like the architectural atmosphere, as well as other things too, just like product design, but really in architecture they are almost very archaic with how they present like their mock-ups for potential buildings or construction plans. And Unreal Engine and things like Blender and Unreal offer a whole new way of like immersing a potential buyer or investor into what they would be purchasing, instead of using something like a lot of firms will use something called SketchUp, which is kind of, it's not outdated at all, but it's more of like along the lines of like a CAD software instead of like something that's more stylized. And so CAD is like something that architects will use to figure out dimensions for our planning for creating the buildings that they're proposing. So yeah, what I would like to do is use VR and use the two aforementioned softwares to create an experience for hypothetical buildings downtown, just something to immerse people into like the possibility of what Grand Rapids could look like in a VR space. This runs along the lines of a project that I worked on actually here in the studio, but it didn't get as fully fleshed out as I would have liked, so I kind of want to take it a little bit further. And this is something that I would love to do for a career as well, so that's why I said it's kind of a solo, near and dear to my heart kind of thing. And there's really no lookbook for it because no one's really done this in our space yet, but in my mind I see something that's very visually aesthetic, something that the whole main purpose of it is to immerse that person in that specific point in 3D space, with the effect of like giving them, promoting them to either invest or be excited about the potential aspect of these buildings being created downtown, rather than just looking at a single rendered image from one vantage point. You can look at the other side of the building, you could walk around the building, you can really engage with the environment that building could potentially be in, instead of just looking at a picture, which is how they usually used to do it now. And so my Miro board is, hopefully you can see that. It's really just a workflow. That's way blurrier than I thought it would be. It's really just a workflow of how I saw the whole process going. There'd be work in the Unreal Engine and the game engine, and then work in Blender, and then setting up the equipment and getting used to that. And then it just kind of shows how everything flows and color coordinated. But yeah, I've used this in a very linear way because I don't like things having loose ends. So it all kind of flowed back into like an outline basically of a workflow. But yeah, that is basically it. Any questions?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like a workflow to get from CAD to Blender?
Yeah, so you can, but CAD is a lot more like for, so like for Blender, you make a model, and then the whole main purpose of, if you're going for gaming, the whole main purpose of making that model is to export it out of Blender. But something like SketchUp is built a lot heavier for like doing everything in one place. You know, like we build what we want in here, and then we render in here, and then that's it, and we're done. Like, you know, if they were doing something for like Corewell Health, which they had mock-ups that were made on SketchUp for Corewell Health. Yeah, they did all that in-house in SketchUp. So I don't really know if there's like a workflow for exporting, but
FBX would export everything.
yeah, if they even use, because I know SketchUp has its own file format that people use, but I don't know. That's something that obviously I'd have to look into. But yeah, that's basically it. So, any other questions? It's a lot more simple than, you know, going into the depths of the AI and and asking, you know, the ethical quandaries, but yeah, something simple that I like, so.
It really takes the project to the next level, so I think
Yeah,
that'll be very.
yeah, something that I've worked on before, so.
Oh, cool.
Thank you very much.
Okay, just one more. Oh, okay, well, if you have to go, if you can stick around, just, we have one more presentation. You have to go to work, okay.
You have to go to work.
So before you guys, if you do take off, for next class, I'm hoping that it won't be too icy, that we can be down here again. I'd like everybody to sleep on this, right? You've heard your colleagues, your classmates, your really future colleagues talk about their ideas. Some of them feel standalone, some of them feel collaborative. There's lots of directions that we could go with AI, especially the AI component and the gaming component. So I'd really like for you guys to take it a next step with the ideas, and maybe just diverge a little bit, like come up with a list, like, oh, somebody said a documentary, somebody, illustration video, somebody talked about, how AI can interact with the public, sort of go a little bit deeper into the concept, just brainstorm it. When we come next class, we're gonna do, I'm gonna go over design docs and how to actually build a project. We're gonna write out on the whiteboard some of our ideas, and we're gonna formulate our teams or individual projects, if that's the case, and really get forward thinking with the way we move forward with pre-production. I saw lots of really cool components happening with your ideas. So we'll cap it off here with 7.
Okay, mine's kind of a lot more different and something that no one really here has addressed yet, and it's a pretty big issue. But the accessibility of VR, since it's new, it's not, to a consumer, it's not accessible, but also it's not accessible to people who have disabilities and otherwise. It's not designed in a way where if you have a certain kind of disability, it just conforms to it. There's like a lot more that has to go behind that and all that. And to an extent, I guess, but VR could also be used to help with certain people with disabilities. Like, if, say like a big issue is like educational, you could use it if you can't like get somewhere, you're like, I think like kind of like Zoom, but except it's instead of Zoom, you could put on a VR headset and be in the classroom.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a project that you guys might have done here, maybe, but it sounded like something you guys did. But right now, as VR stands, it's not something that really considers these problems that someone might have. So it's kind of like addressing the fact of like, compared to virtual settings versus physical settings that VR could address, and how VR could also be used in an educational sense to those who might have educational problems or accessibility problems, or otherwise outside, just not only educational but other opportunities, but I just want to be focused on like educational and accessibility of it. So it's something we can't really do here, at least. I mean, we're not like a company making a VR headset, so we can't really make a VR headset here, but a big issue is like the product design of it. But there's also inside, could be used a lot of like alternative methods that they can use, like voice commands on VR headset, or maybe more eye tracking inside the program, or just more controllers that are more assistive to that, or otherwise inside the program too. And automated assistant like kind of ties back into that too, so it can be used to accommodate visual, auditory, and other motor impairments that someone might have if they're trying to access a VR headset through it. So simple, kind of like something like that. Some other solutions, kind of tying back into what I said about the environment, is that it can be used to make immersive virtual simulations, as it currently is being used to do that, but it could also be leaned more towards activities and people who might have difficulties doing that actually in person. And a big one could also be like people who have difficulty with social situations or social spaces, and it could be used. I mean, a good example of that would be VR chat. I'm not sure if everyone knows or has played VR chat, but it's a big one right now. Very social, open environment. You could just be who you want to be, do whatever you want, and that makes it a lot easier for people to socialize. As compared if they were going to go up to a group of people, they're not going to be able to do that. They might have difficulty doing that, and kind of limits you, but VR helps with that. That was my very basic lookbook. It just kind of outlines the accessibility of VR systems, kind of like how it goes into portability, how we can make it more portable, how to fix controllers, cables. The price is a big factor, is how can we make it affordable to someone at a consumer level, because I know not everyone's going to go out, splurge $200 in Quest, or alternatively $1K on the Valve Index, which is one of the top of the line ones, as far as I know. And then kind of going back into limitations of space and otherwise, you need to consider how the space is, how you can access that, and just the overall design of that, whether that be the actual product or inside of the product, so in the actual VR environments. And another one is to address that, like motion sickness and nausea. There should be some way to balance that, which is a little bit more harder to address, but there could be alternatives possibly. I'm not really sure of that at the moment, because I don't know. I get nauseous when I use a headset. I can't use it because it hurts my brain a lot, so I can't spend hours on a headset. I can maybe put it on for 5 minutes and I'd say that's it. So this was like my mood board. All these are like really low quality because I couldn't export anything out of Adobe Express, so I guess. But this is like a color palette of colors that colorblind people can see, except for that one. The digital accessibility one is not. But these are all like colors, the primary colors that you should consider using to make something more accessible to maybe someone who's colorblind, who can't see colors easily in like an actual program. So, yeah. Questions, comments?
Is there a specific disability you want to research?
No, not entirely. It's kind of hard to pinpoint because there's so many things. Not in the top of my head, as far as I know. It's just more of a general term. It's like it needs to be more accessible in general to those who have disabilities.
There is somebody who works here at the studio, Jacob Fortman, who's doing research on this, so I want to make sure that I bring him in to talk to you about some of the research he's been doing. All right, so your task is to, your idea's pretty fleshed out, but after hearing some of the YouTube and after hearing just some of the ideas that came out, I still want you guys to brainstorm a little bit, because new brains on new ideas can come up with new directions. Then we'll whiteboard it on Wednesday. We'll really kind of go through, and then we'll get our teams in place, and we'll figure out what we're doing this semester. Sound good? All right. I got to tell you all, I really enjoyed this class. It was very nice to be back with you and to hear all of your thoughtful ideas and creative approaches. And I'm looking forward to seeing what direction we go in this semester. Great.